flight. Very, very difficult. That's another story for another day. All right, we got a final. We got a tie series as Sports Center from our nation's capital continues. I am Scott Van Pelt. The Bucks win it by 6. As I mentioned, Tim Legler, Michael Wilbon, Doris Burke will be here to break things down. We'll show you how we got evened up at 2 apiece. Chris Middleton, who was the scoring star for the Bucks, expected to join us as well. All right, the highlight of Game 4. Folks are enthusiastic. Understand why. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Oscar Robertson in the building. Giannis coming off back-to-back 40-plus point games. Suns leading. Oh, Chris Middleton with a lay-in. He had 16 in the first half. Giannis, so dangerous in the open floor. That's absurd. In the game, that has got to be a dunk from Ayton in pretty much any other circumstance.
Incredible.
But that's an unbelievable block from Giannis. But the Suns get a stop. Then Paul loses the handle as he falls to the ground. The Bucks, they got a 3-on-1. Booker can't foul. Still challenge the shot of Middleton. The lead is 4 under 30 to go. Milwaukee hoping that this is the night they even things back up. Booker, the miss. The Bucks, the rebound. Middleton would go to the free throw line. Whoa. 42 for Booker, tremendous, but 40 for Middleton. And you see the final 5.5 of the fourth quarter. Suns held a 5-point lead, having to try to manage the foul situation that involved Booker. The Bucks able to outscore the Suns 19-8 down the stretch. Suns a couple of costly turnovers, only able to make 3 of their 10 shots down the stretch. Brand new series. Best of 3 from here. And we welcome in Tim Legler. We get a look at him as we get a look at the Deer District in Milwaukee. Man, they're fireworks and enjoying. There's a lot going on in this game, Legs. As always, I give you a wide berth to just tell me where you want to go first about what ultimately determined this game.
Yeah, there were half a dozen times, Scott, when I thought that the game was going to be won in a different direction. There were so many big plays made in the last 5 minutes of the game. I think for me what stood out was the fact that Chris Middleton was in rhythm enough earlier in the game. He felt comfortable being the guy that was going to decide matters. Obviously, you're trying to overcome what Devin Booker did. The foul trouble really took a lot away from the beginning of that quarter for Devin Booker. And maybe the Suns win this thing by 8-10 points if he doesn't have to leave the game. But as a result of that, the Bucks stay within striking distance, and then Chris Middleton got to his sweet spot. And when he gets to the middle area of the floor and he's off the dribble and he already is in rhythm from earlier in the game, he's as good a late game closer as anybody in this league, really, in that situation. The question is, are they going to go there in those moments, Scott? When I've watched them over the years, last few years, when they have struggled at times in the clutch, it's because they've gotten away from that. This is their best option with the game on the line. It's put the ball in the hands of Chris Middleton. Whether you give him an isolation in the middle area or, better yet, let's run some ball screen with Giannis. Giannis slipping, diving, occupying guys, let Chris Middleton come off. And if he gets to that 15 to 18-foot area on balance, he goes up. He's got such great height to get that shot off with a little bit of a lean back. He took over the game when they absolutely had to have it. But there were a lot of big plays made. Pat Connaughton made some big plays in this one. Giannis, obviously, with one of the best defensive recoveries you're going to see in a game, period, much less with what was on the line to break up that lob to DeAndre Ayton. So a lot of guys contributed. But for me, if Chris Middleton doesn't take over offensively and put the ball in the basket when they absolutely have to have it on back-to-back possessions, the Suns are up 3-1 right now.
Tim, that encompasses a lot of the conversations I feel like you and I have had over these past few years. One, it's about the Bucks' late game and late clock situations, who you're going to go to. In this case, it's Middleton. And it also speaks to who Middleton is. I don't feel like people talk about him like he's a bum, but I also don't feel like people talk about him like he's what he is. A guy who can get you 40 in the finals and help win you a game. That's who he can be, and I don't always think that he's described as such. Why do you think that is?
He definitely isn't. And honestly, look, even if you weren't on board with Chris Middleton being described the way you just did prior to the last couple of postseasons, I mean, if you're not putting him there now, you're just not paying attention. You're not watching to how consistent this guy has been. Yeah, he's had a couple of off nights here or there, and it seems like when he does it, he catches so much weight for not supporting Giannis Antetokounmpo. But I've seen a lot of nights where he's been so good late, irrespective of what Giannis Antetokounmpo is doing. And in some cases, he's the guy that actually is the one you want the ball in his hands more than the two-time MVP. He has come through enough times for me, Scott, now that I expected. I said it before the game. I thought Chris Middleton was a given. I wasn't worried about Chris Middleton tonight. Kind of knew Giannis would put up numbers. I knew Booker would bounce back. I think for me, the two X factors right now are Jrue Holiday and Chris Paul. You're not exactly sure what you are going to get offensively from those two players. Tonight, Chris Paul didn't really give Devin Booker any help except for a very short spurt when he went out of the game with that fifth foul. But for the most part, it was Devin Booker's show tonight, and it just wasn't enough to offset what you got out of Giannis. And then Chris Middleton was sensational late in the game. But if you don't know this guy's capable of doing this, you're not paying attention to Chris Middleton over the last 2 or 3 postseasons.
Chris Middleton's with me. I'm going to get to him now. I've never done this to you, Tim. I'm going to make a request. I don't know if it's even possible to do this, but if there's some way you can touchscreen the Giannis block on Ayton, I need to figure out how in the hell it's possible to block that alley-oop, because it was about to be a tie game and then it wasn't. So I'm going to get to Chris. If we're not going to diagram it, at least let's talk about it a little bit later, all right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can't wait to see that one.
All right, that's Tim Legler, and we welcome in Chris Middleton now. Chris, congratulations on a 40-point performance. I don't know if you were able to hear as Tim Legler and I are bragging on what you just did. A tremendous performance, and your team needed every bit of what you gave. How do you best describe sort of your level of confidence in this moment to give your team what you gave them? It would be apparent that Chris Middleton can't hear me. Hi, Chris. It's Scott Van Pelt. Can you hear me? Nope. 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 All right. We're going to get the Chris Middleton microphone sorted out, I hope. And if a little more context on his night while we work on the microphone issues. For the first 3 games of the series, Middleton was averaging just over 19 points per game. More than double that tonight with the 40-piece, a postseason career high for him as he outscored the Suns by himself 10-4 over the final 2 minutes and 15 seconds. 3 little things from this game tonight. Giannis, as we know, has been absolutely dominant throughout the series, racking up 129 points across the 4 games, the 3rd most by any players in their first 4 career finals games, trailing only Rick Barry, that was in '67, Allen Iverson in 2001. Also quite a turnaround for Devin Booker. He was spectacular.